Texas 45, Mississippi State 38. Well, this has got to be a 4.5 Chili game, doesn't it? Oh, there it is. There's the graphic, 4.5 Chili with an asterisk on it. Because I'm kidding about turning the game off. I was glued to it. But this is only a 4.5 Chili game if you stayed tuned in. So I ask you, did you? Did you stay tuned in? Because I've got it on good authority. Many of you did not. 17-point game with 10 minutes to go. Why would you stay tuned in? Texas's offense sucks. Well, it sucked. Past tense. Texas could be back now. Who knows? They needed multiple scores on the road with 10 minutes to go. And you know what they got? Multiple scores on the road with 10 minutes to go. They had a 9-play, 75-yard touchdown drive. Then they forced a 3-and-out, which was greatly aided by Mississippi State continuing to run tempo. But you know what? I can't get mad at them for that. Then there's a 12-play, 53-yard field goal drive. Another 3-and-out. And then there's a punt return for a touchdown. And now we're going to overtime. And, I mean, this is despite the fact that Mississippi State kind of low-key went to work on Texas's defense. They had 5 different pass catchers over 60 yards yesterday. Can you imagine telling Jeff Lebby, you're going to have that happen, and you're going to be in the mid to upper 30s. I know we got overtime there, but all that's going to happen, and you're going to let another one get away? This is the same team that had Tennessee on the ropes, and they let them off the hook. And then they had Florida down last week and somehow lost that one, and then this happens. And it's the kind of thing that if you're looking at it if I'm looking at this from the perspective of a Mississippi State fan, I would not wish this on my worst enemy. Which is ironic because it happened to my worst enemy, because not only did Mississippi State blow this thing in historical fashion yesterday, enemy of the program, Brandon Walker, was actually in the building for it. And not only that, he had a crew essentially documenting his every move because he wanted to be there, and there they go up, and he thinks they've got it in the bag. And so he started to show himself, he started to feel himself a little bit, and he's got someone trying to keep up with him. And look, let's just put all our cards on the table. How hard is it to keep up with Brandon Walker? He's already out of breath. He took a break at the 40-yard line. Fireworks going off all over the place. You're up 17 on Texas, and you're thinking, there's no way this turns. There's no way this turns. And if it was just left up to the football team, it wouldn't have turned. I'm fully convinced that if it was just Mississippi State and Jeff Lebby, they would have gotten the job done yesterday. But the Brandon Walkers of the world couldn't leave well enough alone. They couldn't just ring the cowbell and dap up their buddies. No, what'd they have to do? They had to feel themselves a little bit too much. There's the evidence. If you're listening on podcast, Brandon Walker, with time left on the clock, screwed the entire state of Mississippi figuratively. He threw the horns down. You're not who you thought you were. You were still Mississippi State, bud. You can't horns down with time left on the clock. And so let me tell you what happens. They go to overtime, and I know it looks overcast there, but God could see everything happening down there on that field in Starkville, Mississippi. And he said, it's that time. It's time, as I've done so many times before, to teach Brandon Walker a lesson. And I kid you not, they go to overtime, and Texas hits that game-winning touchdown, and wouldn't you know it, it happens right in Brandon Walker's face. Look at that. Now, I don't know medically how long Brandon Walker will live. He may live another 60 years. I know that his soul died right there. Right there. October 25th, you can go ahead and call it. Brandon Walker's soul flatlines. And Texas gets out of there with a win. Again, it brings me no joy. It brings me no joy. I think the game turned on the horns down. Hey, really quick timeout. We'll get right back to the video. Do me one favor. Make sure you're subscribed. It helps us keep the show free. It helps us keep the lights on. It helps us keep doing college football year-round, and we appreciate it. All right, back to the video. And until someone proves otherwise, I've got to believe that's fact. So Brandon Walker lost this game from Mississippi State. You know what this is for Texas? To me, this is the Bluegrass Miracle. For those of you unfamiliar, back in November of 2002, Saban was at LSU. They go up to Kentucky, and they're down, and then they storm from behind, but it still looks like Kentucky's about to win, and they're ready to rush the field. They already dumped the Gatorade on the coach, and they hit like a 70 or 80-yard touchdown pass, whatever it is, tip ball, and they win the game. And they dogpile and everything, and it was like one of the most memorable plays in college football history. But I've listened to Saban talk about the game many times before, and he like skims over the actual Bluegrass Miracle, and he's always wanting to talk about the next week. Because the next week they got blown out, ironically, by Alabama. And his whole message, anytime he tells the story of the Bluegrass Miracle, is we committed sins as a college football team and got away with it, and we happened to win a game. And it just delayed us learning lessons because we thought since we won the game, we didn't have to clean anything up. You know, oh, well, it's all absolved, and they got blanked the next week. Texas just won a game they probably didn't have much business winning, but full credit to them for winning it. Here's the follow-up question. How are you going to cash it in? Because you committed several errors, you got a ton of flaws, and now you're going to face Vanderbilt, fully equipped of making you pay for them if you don't get right. So the age-old question in life and in football, do you have to suffer a loss? Do you have to learn the lessons in the form of a loss, or can you whistle past the graveyard, learn the lessons, and course correct without having to suffer consequences in the form of a loss? We're going to find that out. Texas is 6-2 right now. They got to go home against Vandy. They still got to go to Georgia. They still got Arkansas. They still got A&M. I've got Texas, most likely scenario is probably 8-4 right now. Most likely. But they could go 10-2. They could go 7-5. All of these things are in the cards right now for Texas. Very nervous for Texas. Earlier today, we thought the power went out in the building. As it turns out, we just hadn't moved around enough, so the motion detectors thought there was no one in the building. But for a split second, I thought, how crazy is it that Flex Power is a partner of our show, yet here we are in need of a generator and we don't have one in the building. I've got one at home. We just don't have it in the building. Crisis averted. As I said, Jesse was just sitting there like a potato sack, and the lights didn't even know that he was still in the building. I think I was out of range of the sensor, so it didn't pick me up anyway. But Flex Power could have helped us out. But look, I'm a storm chaser, so I know the weather can get a little rocky in the spring. But a lot of you had bad weather come through this past weekend. Maybe some of you dealt with power outages, or maybe some of you were just at a tailgate and you're saying, I need a little extra power. Flex Power could have helped you. Flex Power can help you. And they help us. They're one of our big partners now. So we appreciate them being on board. We just gave away a generator a couple of weeks ago, as a matter of fact. You can go to myflexpower.com/Josh Pate, and you can get yourself one. They're incredibly quiet. I could probably go to sleep with one of those things running in my bedroom. Not that they advise it. In fact, I think they warn against it in the guidelines that they give you and whatnot. I'm just saying, I'm a fairly heavy sleeper. I'll grant you that. I think I could fall asleep next to one of those. In fact, for promotional ideas, Jesse, write that down. Can I go to sleep with a Flex Power generator cranked next to me? I told you if you just leave it to me, I'd come up with the ideas. So there it is. I think we just had a big ticket idea there.